Imagine you want to tell someone something important your friend said. For example, he literally said, I want to quit my job. Quiero renunciar a mi trabajo. And you want to transmit this message, but using your own words, not quoting what he said. How would you do it? If you are lost or have doubts on how to report what somebody else said, you are not alone, but don't worry because today I'll break down the rules of the reporter's speech in Spanish, discurso indirecto. Hello everyone and welcome back to Fluency Rocks. This is your go-to spot for language mastery. I'm Carolina, a certified Spanish teacher hailing from Colombia, and no matter where you stand on the Spanish proficiency scale, I'm here to take you on an exciting adventure to fluency. Okay, now let's explore this interesting topic together, and as usual, we'll journey through real-life scenarios in a captivating story that I prepared especially for you to make it all clear. Let's dive right in. What is the reporter speech in Spanish? Reporter speech in Spanish is like sharing what someone said without quoting them word for word. To make it work, we tweak things like pronouns, tenses, and time and place markers. It's a bit like adding our own flair while keeping the message intact. Why bother, you ask? Well, Spanish reporter speech is our tool to spread the word, share thoughts, and relay opinions to different folks. It's not just for news or writing, it's a handy skill for everyday conversations too. It's all about reporting the gist without going copy-paste crazy. Let's now compare the direct speech, which is quoting what someone said word for word, and the reporter speech. In the first column, we have the direct speech, and in the second, the reporter speech. Let's analyze these examples. Direct speech. Clara dice, me gusta la pizza. Clara says, I like pizza. Reporter speech. Clara dice que le gusta la pizza. Clara says she likes pizza. Direct speech. Pedro dijo, estoy interesado en este libro. Pedro said, I'm interested in this book. Reporter speech. Pedro dijo que estaba interesado en ese libro. Pedro said he was interested in that book. In Spanish, if you are diving into reporter speech, the go-to verb is decir. It's like the star player for conveying messages. But hold on, there's more. Check out these other verbs you can toss into the mix. Aclarar, to clarify. Afirmar, to affirm. Contar, to tell. Escribir, to write. Explicar, to explain. Insistir, to insist. Pedir, to ask for something. Pensar, to think. Preguntar, to ask a question. Prometer, to promise. Recordar, to remember, to remind. Recomendar, to recommend. Sugerir, to suggest. Let's see a few examples with some of these verbs. La jefa le explicó a Isabel por qué no debía llamar a los proveedores hoy. The boss explained to Isabel why she should not call the suppliers today. Inés nos contó que le dieron la beca para estudiar en la universidad. Inés told us that she got the scholarship to study at the university. Camilo les preguntó que por qué se iban tan pronto. Camilo asked them why they were leaving so soon. Pensé que podía ir al gimnasio hoy, pero está cerrado. I thought I could go to the gym today, but it's closed. Now, let's take a closer look to our last sentence. Pensé que podía ir al gimnasio hoy, pero está cerrado. I thought I could go to the gym today, but it's closed. Here we encounter the verb pensar, and interestingly, it's often overlooked in discussions about reporter speech. Yet, it happens to be one of the most frequently used verbs in this grammatical construction. Why? Well, we are essentially quoting our own thoughts or what someone else thought. And let's be honest, we talk about our thoughts all the time. Let's illustrate this with examples. Let's say that today I'm thinking to myself and I say in my head, El litro de helado cuesta $8. A liter of ice cream costs $8. But tomorrow I go to the store and I see that it costs $5 and I buy it. Then I tell my friend. Pensé que el litro de helado costaba $8, pero cuesta $5. I thought a liter of ice cream was $8, but it's $5. Here I'm reporting what I thought, what I said to myself. Another example. Ricardo thinks, la torta de fresa es la torta favorita de mi mamá. Strawberry cake is my mom's favorite cake. So he buys this cake and gives it to his mom. However, later he finds out that his mom's favorite cake is actually chocolate. So he tells his mom, Pensé que tu torta favorita era la de fresa. I thought your favorite cake was strawberry. Again, here Ricardo is reporting his own thought using the verb pensar. To report what someone said, we use one of the verbs in the previous list followed by que and sometimes por qué. This is the formula: verb plus que plus statement, or verb plus por qué plus statement. Let's see some examples. Dile a Rosa que traiga el cuaderno. Tell Rosa to bring the notebook. La profesora dijo que trajeras el cuaderno. The teacher said that you should bring your notebook. No voy a poder cocinar. I won't be able to cook. Jaime me dijo que no iba a poder cocinar. Jaime told me that he was not going to be able to cook. Niños, hoy voy a preparar papas al horno porque son más saludables que las papas fritas. Kids, today I am going to prepare baked potatoes because they are healthier than French fries. Mi mamá nos explicó por qué prepararía papas al horno hoy. My mom explained to us why she would prepare baked potatoes today. When playing with the reporter speech, we have to make a few tweaks to keep the essence of the original message intact. Here's the game plan. Tweak those pronouns and adjectives and, if needed, switch up the verb tense. Now, there's something important you need to know. If you are not subscribed to my channel with all notifications on, you may miss my new videos. So, to keep getting more content like this, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell. Moving on, let's talk about a big player in the adjustment game, verb conjugations. Simply put, we switch up the verb tense from the original to keep things flowing logically. In the world of Spanish grammar, we call this nifty move backshifting. However, making the shift from direct to indirect speech involves playing with various grammar pieces. To kick things off, you need a solid grasp of Spanish pronouns, ensuring you choose the right one for your sentence. Speaking of which, it's handy to get acquainted with possessive adjectives for talking about what belongs to someone. Plus, you'll want to feel at ease changing up verb forms across various Spanish time frames. To make backshifting in reporter speech a breeze, let's explore the 11 rules for tweaking verbs. We'll be comparing the original tenses with their backshifted counterparts to help you grasp and use them effortlessly. But wait, it's crucial to bear in mind that we as native speakers don't stick rigidly to these rules every time. We have some other perfectly fine alternatives that we use, so don't feel frustrated if you hear us breaking the rules. At the beginning, I suggest that you follow the rules exactly as they are, but as you start understanding more and more, and as you feel more comfortable with the language, you can imitate the way we use the reporter speech. Now, let's jump right into our backshifting examples. We can see here in the first column the original tense, in the second the direct speech. In the third, the back-shifted tense, and in the last column, we can see the reporter's speech. Okay, now let's see the examples. Original tense, simple present, direct speech. Juan says, estoy aburrido, I'm bored. Back-shifted tense, reporter speech. Carmen reports, Juan me dijo que estaba aburrido. Juan told me he was bored. Now, it's worth clarifying that although the rule says that here the simple present back shifts to imperfect tense with the reporter speech, sometimes we will hear native speakers using the same simple present when reporting what has been said. For example, we can say instead, Juan me dijo que está aburrido. Juan told me he is bored. So basically, the tense didn't change here. Direct speech, present perfect. He leído 3 libros este mes. I've read 3 books this month. Reporter speech, past perfect. Juan me dijo que había leído 3 libros este mes. Juan told me he had read 3 books this month. Again, here we can keep the same original tense, present perfect, when reporting what was said. We can say instead, Juan me dijo que ha leído 3 libros este mes. Juan told me he has read 3 books this month. Direct speech, preterite. El sábado salí a montar en bicicleta. On Saturday, I went out cycling. Reporter speech, past perfect. Juan me dijo que el sábado había salido a montar en bicicleta. Juan told me he had gone out cycling on Saturday. Once more, we can keep the preterite here when repeating what Juan said. So, we can say, Juan me dijo que el sábado salió a montar en bicicleta. Juan told me he went out cycling on Saturday. Direct speech, imperfect. Yo veía mucha televisión cuando era niño. I watched a lot of television when I was a child. Reporter speech, imperfect. Juan me dijo que veía mucha televisión cuando era niño. Juan told me he watched a lot of television when he was a child. No change of tense here. Direct speech, past perfect. A las 10 de la mañana ya yo había desayunado. At 10 in the morning I had already had breakfast. Reporter speech, past perfect. Juan me dijo que a las 10 de la mañana ya él había desayunado. Juan told me that at 10 in the morning he had already had breakfast. The past perfect stays the same. Direct speech, simple future. Escucharé los audiolibros esta semana. I'll listen to the audiobooks this week. Reporter speech, simple conditional. Juan me dijo que escucharía los audiolibros esta semana. Juan told me he would listen to the audiobooks this week. In this case, you can hear 3 more options. We can say, Juan me dijo que iba a escuchar los audiolibros esta semana. Juan told me he was going to listen to the audiobooks this week. Imperfect tense. Or we can say, Juan me dijo que va a escuchar los audiolibros esta semana. Juan told me he's going to listen to the audiobooks this week. Simple future with the verb ir. And the last alternative would be, Juan me dijo que escuchará los audiolibros esta semana. Juan told me he will listen to the audiobooks this week. Simple future. However, this last option with the simple future is not as common as the other ones. Direct speech, compound future. Para este fin de semana ya habré regresado de mi viaje. By this weekend I will have returned from my trip. Reporter speech, compound conditional. Juan me dijo que para este fin de semana él ya habría regresado de su viaje. Juan told me that by this weekend he would have returned from his trip. In this case, you can also hear native speakers keeping the original tense. For example, Juan me dijo que para este fin de semana él ya habrá regresado de su viaje. Juan told me that by this weekend he will have returned from his trip. Direct speech, simple conditional. Yo preferiría no ir a esa fiesta. I would prefer not to go to that party. Reporter speech, simple conditional. Juan me dijo que él preferiría no ir a esa fiesta. Juan told me that he would prefer not to go to that party. The simple conditional doesn't change here. Direct speech, imperative mood. Haz más ejercicio. Exercise more. Reporter speech, imperfect subjunctive. Juan me dijo que hiciera más ejercicio. Juan told me to exercise more. Direct speech, present subjunctive. Necesito que llames al profesor. I need you to call the teacher. Reporter speech, imperfect subjunctive. Juan me dijo que necesitaba que llamara al profesor. Juan told me that he needed me to call the teacher. Direct speech, imperfect subjunctive. Era necesario que yo dejara de comer tanta grasa. It was necessary for me to stop eating so much fat. Reporter speech, imperfect subjunctive. Juan me dijo que era necesario que él dejara de comer tanta grasa. Juan told me that it was necessary for him to stop eating so much fat. We tend to switch up verb tenses when the action in question has already happened, yet, as you've noticed, there are instances where we play it loose with that rule. We might adjust the tense even if the action is still ongoing or relevant at times. However, we must keep in mind that when dealing with facts or describing actions that just happened, the tense of the original statement remains unchanged. For example, original statement. Juan says, no puedo recibir llamadas porque estoy en clase. I can't receive calls because I'm in class. Reporter speech. Carmen reports. Juan dice que no puede recibir llamadas porque está en clase. Juan says he can't receive calls because he is in class. Here, we can clearly see that the simple present stayed the same because it's an ongoing action. This example implies that Carmen is immediately telling what Juan just said. Alright, it's story time. In my opinion, immersing yourself in plenty of listening and reading is a fantastic path to mastering languages. To spice things up, I've put together a brief tale to demonstrate the use of reporter speech in Spanish during everyday scenarios. Now, let's dive into our story. Noche de película y sorpresas. Mi nombre es Andrés y hoy mi mejor amigo, que se llama Luis, me invitó a salir. Al principio yo no estaba muy convencido porque mi papá me había explicado por qué no debía salir tan tarde, pues es un poco peligroso. Sin embargo, esta vez decidí arriesgarme. Mi amigo Luis vive al lado de mi casa y él me dijo que el año pasado no salía mucho, pero que ahora quería cambiar eso y me recordó que hoy estrenaban la película que tanto queríamos ver. Además, me contó que le regalaron tiquetes para la función, una sorpresa que me emocionó. Cuando llegué a la casa de Luis, él ya estaba listo para ir al cine, pero estaba en una videollamada con Andrea, otra buena amiga, tratando de convencerla para que fuera con nosotros. Llevaban varios minutos hablando, entonces interrumpí y le pregunté a Luis, ¿Andrea va o no va al cine con nosotros? Y Luis respondió, ella dice que sí va y prometió que no llegaría tarde al cine. Llegamos al cine y vimos allí a unos amigos del colegio que iban deprisa. Entonces nos detuvimos a saludarlos un momento. Luis les preguntó que por qué se iban tan rápido y ellos dijeron que querían ir a un concierto de una banda local que iba a tocar en un parque cercano. Cuando finalmente entramos al cine, nos dimos cuenta de que habíamos llegado a tiempo, pues apenas iban a empezar a poner los comerciales. Entonces Andrea dijo que ella compraría las palomitas de maíz y los refrescos para todos. La película empezó y 5 minutos después regresó Andrea con la comida. Le agradecimos mucho y le dijimos que se había perdido el principio de la película. Pero ella nos dijo que ya la había visto el día anterior, que no importaba. Después de la función, pensamos que podíamos jugar un rato, pero recordé que mi hermanito estaba solo en casa. Luis y Andrea, siendo muy considerados, me pidieron que recogiéramos a mi hermanito y que fuéramos todos a la casa de Andrea a jugar videojuegos. Al final, la noche resultó ser más divertida que nunca y llena de sorpresas. Here you have it, a story to help you understand the reporter's speech in real-life situations. Keep in mind, the more you practice, the better you'll become. Now, let's highlight a key takeaway. If you haven't subscribed yet and click on the notification bell, there's a chance you might miss my upcoming videos. And we wouldn't want you to miss out, would we? To keep the content flowing, I'd appreciate it if you could show your support by giving this video a like, hitting the subscribe button, and ensuring that notification bell is ringing. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments down below. I'm eager to hear and learn from you. Now, here's a question for you. Have you ever been confused about when to use the Spanish verbs hablar, contar, and decir? If you have, I suggest that you watch my video titled Mastering Hablar, Contar, and Decir in Spanish. It's a great choice if you really want to nail down the uses of these 3 crucial verbs in Spanish. Click here to watch this useful video and keep rocking your language learning goals.